I'd also like to thank Demarcus's agent, David. He did a great job for you, I can assure you, of getting the very best deal he could for you. And I appreciate the way we did our business together there, and did a great job for Demarcus.
Formerly of the Ravens and San Diego Chargers, back here in Southern California. Eric Weddle, good to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Look at that get-up you've got going on there.
Yeah, you know, I had it made for me for my birthday.
Yeah.
From my agent, David Canter.
He's a good man, David Canter.
Great.
Just signed Tank Lawrence to a big fat contract.
That's my guy, man.
He's your guy.
Do your job, he gets you paid.
Compliments to David, who wore his black tie for the affair, very sharply dressed.
And I thought David Canter did a great job, too, of enabling us to kind of get a clear-cut understanding of what Eric's intentions were. So then that enabled us to be more aggressive in saying, why don't we get him here?
All right. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, go. Welcome to another episode of Plugged In with Jay. I, of course, am Jay, your host, and I'm here with a very special guest, David Canter, the CEO and agent of DEC Management. How you doing, my man?
I'm living the dream, man. I'm just responding to a text message. I apologize. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure.
I'm going to sit back and fold my arms and act important and answer some questions. You are way better dressed than you'll ever see me on one of these podcasts.
Man, it's like
I should take the hat off, though, because then it gives me like these dark bags under my eyes. My lighting is so bad in here.
I know, mine is too. I look like I got punched in the eye.
I got to buy like that Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, the bright light.
Oh, yeah. All the filters and shit.
I have a hurricane lantern that I was on one of these a couple weeks ago, and they were like, dude, your lighting's terrible. Like half your face is black, and then you turn this way, it's dark over here, and you look like you're 100 years old. And I'm like, all right, well, let me go get my hurricane lantern. So I got my hurricane lanterns.
Right.
And I put them on the floor, and I rolled over another chair in my home. This is my home office. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh my gosh, you have studio lighting. I'm like, dude, the hurricane lantern.
Isn't that crazy?
Hopefully the people on YouTube that are brave enough to give me 5 minutes of their day will appreciate bad lighting.
Oh, they're
Hold on, watch this. Let me see about this one.
What you got?
I'll put my iPhone. Ooh, look at that. There's
look at
that. I'm not as ugly as I want to be. No, I'm kidding.
That'll work. All right, my man. So I got some information here I'm going to read off for my viewers and listeners, just so they can kind of get a little more of a background of you. So you are the head of DEC Management, the worldwide leader in sports management, contract negotiations, marketing, endorsements, and representation. And the list goes on and on.
Yeah, man. Living the dream.
24 years and over 1.8
25 now.
25, okay.
Man,
and just
crazy.
1.8 billion probably went up too, huh?
I don't even know where that came from, to be honest with you. I think I was doing something for where I went to college, and part of their class, this is maybe a year or two ago, part of their class was to add up my total value of all the deals that I did, which is weird because that's just like, I don't keep score that way. I keep scoring. If my clients are happy, then I'm happy.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I get to that too. Like I've read all about this, and it just shows like a lot of people see value, but you're absolutely right. The way that you are with your clients, if your clients are happy, then all is right in the world. 2016, you negotiated a record-breaking 5-year, $105 million extension for Demarcus "Tank" Lawrence, probably one of my favorite defensive players, man. He's awesome. I mean, it's incredible, and not even the tip of the iceberg representing all that you've done. I mean, before all of this, though, you had to have the dream. You had to have the idea, the want to become one of the best in sports management. I mean, how did all this begin for you?
So, wow, it's a long story. So, I grew up in South Jersey with my father, and very, very young was exposed to a lot of professional baseball players. Baseball is my first love. Really thought that I was good enough when I was younger to become a pro baseball player. And I was the kind of kid, as I was growing up, 10, 11, 12, 13, I was number 1 or number 2 in the division, in the league, in the community.
Sure. And
so as I got older, I think I probably peaked at a pretty young age. I probably 15 or 16 might have been my best baseball years of my life. And so my dad was in a business in New Jersey where he lived, My mom lived here in Florida, and I was by community. I would go to New Jersey for the summers and then Florida for the winters and school. And when I was 14 or 15, I moved to New Jersey full time for my last 2 years of high school. A terrible baseball program. We played on a dirt field next to an airport, really, next to Bader Field in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I mean, the worst field you could ever imagine. Some days it was like you were trying to dodge razor blades because the ball would hit off a rock and, catch you in the side of the head. And so my dad was in a food service business that delivered food, coffee creamers, cream cheese to the casinos in Atlantic City.
Okay.
And some of the athletes that were partners in the business were pro baseball players. So I got exposed to being around that culture and what a pro baseball player was like and what their life was like very, very young. And I realized probably my senior year of high school that I wasn't going to be a pro athlete. Like I remember going to a Phillies open tryout. There were maybe 100 kids. I remember where it was like it was yesterday in Ocean City, New Jersey. And I think I was like 13th. And one of the scouts came up to me and he's like, you're good. He's like, you're not bad. And I was like, well, am I good enough to get drafted? And he goes, no way. And he said it just like that, no way. And it hurt. Like it still hurts even repeating it, 30, 40 years later. And I guess 30 years later. And so I'm only 47. So I realized like maybe, the baseball side, maybe I'll go into representing guys. I really was a student of sabermetrics and analytics that have taken over baseball and now kind of actually they've moved past it with like Billy Beane and those guys in the early 90s. And so I started studying a lot of that and just learning about statistics. And I was always kind of an inside baseball guy, what to do in this count with this number of runners on, and obviously it's not football. And so I had played football growing up, football and baseball. I was also in high school, I swam and I dove. And I started to get much better at football as my baseball career got worse. And so I started, and I always loved football. I was obsessed with the Dolphins as a kid. Dan Marino was like a god to me. And I don't want to say we're friends. We're not going out to dinner together, but I know him very well now for the last 25 years. And I remember Dan Marino going to the Orange Bowl when I was 12 or 13, and David Woodley was the quarterback. And Dan Marino walking out with like a Bud Light in his hand, and I like basically ran him over to try to get his autograph. And I was one of those kids. I collected autographs. You could see all my toys and crap.
Oh, yeah.
All my players' autographs on the walls. I mean, there's a whole other thing here that I can't do because I have a computer and I have to physically pick it up and turn. But I mean, this whole wall is helmets and autographed baseball. So anyway, so sports has been my life, my whole life. And I'm an only child. It was a way for me to meet friends. It was a way for me to socialize. And so I started around 16, 17 after my terrible Phillies audition. And I'm still a Phillies fan.
Oh, hold on.
Much to the chagrin of everyone in the world because the Phillies suck. But that's a conversation for another day.
Hold on. David.
So I decided wait, go on, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You said you were 13th out of how many kids? Don't say 14 either.
Maybe like 120, 140.
It's fucking, excuse me. That's good, man.
Dude, drop a couple F-bombs. We'll get more views on YouTube. So my 5-year-old will be in here. He loves
I get shit from my family on there. So,
believe me, I get it all the time now because I have 3 boys. And so, the F-bombs in the sports business are part of life. So,
in the car business, I hear
I realized I probably wasn't going to play Major League Baseball. So what I did was kind of switch my emphasis with my family about, hey, where can I play college baseball? And where could I maybe even also try to play college football? And so I graduated high school at 16 as I was just turning 17. So I'm very young. Because in Florida, not because I'm smart by any stretch of imagination, but in Florida in the 70s and 80s, everyone started moving here. They changed the tax laws. There was a huge migration of people from the Northeast down south because of obviously weather, and it's still going on now because of COVID. And so high schools and grade schools got overwhelmed with numbers of kids. And so they pushed me from kindergarten into first grade. So I was at 5 years old in first grade, which means you graduate high school at 16 or 17. So I skipped a grade. Doesn't mean I'm smart. So make a long story much longer, I ended up going to a prep school in Massachusetts called Worcester Academy. Worcester Academy was really, really good at getting kids to big-time college football programs and big-time college basketball programs and big-time college baseball programs.
Okay.
So I go to Worcester, and football had switched because I think around 15 or 16 I decided I liked girls. Like, you know, you play sports your whole life, and, you know, 12, 13, you like girls, but now 15, 16, that becomes this is pre-phone, this is pre-texting. It's a different experience than it is now for my children. And so,
if we had like Tinder when we were kids, Jesus.
I mean, I'd be dead. I certainly would be divorced. I certainly would be married. I would definitely have some type of venereal or sexually transmitted disease, and I would be on most wanted posters in probably 14 states. So, I mean, Tinder, Facebook, Instagram, it's lunacy
for them now.
if you consider what you're able to do. I still, by the way, can't get my mouse to work on my computer. So, make a long story much, much longer, I go to this prep school, and I had realized that in order to meet girls, and in order for girls to like you, football players got the hot girls. It's, by the way, still that way, although basketball players have probably taken over. And baseball players get good-looking women, too. I think a lot of them get golfers now. I mean, there's women that gravitate towards certain sports. And so in prep school, I was all about football. And coincidentally, our football team was really good. And so I went in as a quarterback, and I left as a wide receiver because I wasn't good enough to be the starting quarterback. Our guy ended up at the University of Miami, saying a lot. Okay. So I played wide receiver, and Worcester being a Massachusetts school, Ithaca College, the head coach at Ithaca is a Mass guy. And he came and recruited Worcester Academy and saw me play, and I had played well enough that he walked up to me and was like, hey, I'd like to sit with you and tell you what we do. And what excited me about Ithaca was two things. They had just won in 1988, it seems like 1,000 years ago, the national championship in football and the national championship in baseball, same year, which is unheard of, right?
Right, yeah.
And so he said to me in his masshole accent, you can do both here if you're good enough. If you're good enough, and you can play baseball and you can play football and you can make the team. So I didn't care where Ithaca was. I had like an invited walk-on at Miami and some other places where I could just be a tackling dummy. And I thought I really did believe this when I was 17 years old at Worcester Academy. I thought I'd go to Ithaca, and by my sophomore year, they'd retire my jersey. I thought I was like Division III, that's bullshit. Like, who wants to, Division III is like, 13th grade of high school. These guys are all going to suck. And of course, in fall baseball, I was getting murdered. I couldn't hit a ball. My guys were crushing my pitches. It was a very frustrating first 6 or 7 days on the diamond. And I kind of fell out of love with baseball as a player because I wasn't good enough, right? All of a sudden, I'm very good at football, and it's like, wait, I might be able to actually get on the field. And so Ithaca had a JV and a varsity, and I learned very quickly that Ithaca was famous for having the best television radio program in the country.
Really?
Yeah. At the time, I think they were number 2 behind Syracuse. They're still top 5, I would think. It's insane if you find all of the people that went to Ithaca that are on TV. It is Syracuse and Ithaca. It's like every broadcaster, every sportscaster, the guy that's the famous guy on ABC News World Tonight, David Weir. He was my classmate. That guy's a monster. That's the top of the world, right?
Yeah. So Barry was Syracuse too, I believe.
Who?
Matthew Barry from ESPN.
Matt's a Syracuse guy. There's so much Syracuse people. So the Roy H. Park School of Communication, first day, first class ever, college, freshman. Walk in, Communications 101. First time I've ever been in a room where there's stairs and there's bi-leveled seats.
Right.
And the teacher clicks on like a microphone practically, and he goes, "This is the first thing he says. I'll never forget as long as I live." He goes, "Last year there were 400,000 applicants for 5,900 jobs," or whatever the numbers were.
Damn.
So if you don't live it, eat it, sleep it, and breathe it, if you're not willing to wake up and do the 4 a.m. drive time radio show in Wichita, Kansas, and make $20,000 a year, and I'm like, $20,000 a year? That's shit money. fuck, who wants to make $20,000 a year? And this is, by the way, 1991. Then you need to leave. We have a 2-week open registration window at Ithaca where you're free to drop your major without any penalties and pick up anything else.
Wow.
It goes, I'll give you guys 10 minutes to think about it. I'm going to go use the restroom. Feel free, don't be embarrassed to leave. So everybody's, nobody's leaving. Everybody's looking around. And I was the editor of my school paper. I liked journalism a lot, but I didn't love it. It wasn't like my be-all, end-all. I did want to be like a famous broadcaster at one point in time, like a Bob Costas or Harry Callis as a Philly. And so Dave Zinkoff was the famous announcer for the Sixers, who had a great voice back in the day. These are all people before you. You're much younger than me. So I hate you for that. So I got up. Only person in the class. I took that long walk down the stairs, felt 1,000 eyes on the back of my head, and I walked straight across campus to the registrar's office, and I dropped my major. And lo and behold, I'm at football practice one day, maybe a month and a half later, and someone's like, yo, what's your major? And I was like, I don't have one yet. They're like, oh, man, you like sports, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, we're at football practice, dying right now. He's like, you should do sports management. And I was like, what the fuck is sports management? And back then, 1990, 1991, remember, no Jerry Maguire. There's no one knows a Drew Rosenhaus. No one knows a David Falk. Right. The world, it's a brand new world. Like Lee Steinberg, maybe you might have heard of him, but you sure as hell didn't know what he looked like. You didn't know that he spit dip. You didn't know that he had a substance issue with alcohol. So, and that's not to knock Lee. And so I go and I'm like, hey, what's sports management? I start meeting people, and they, because of Ithaca and playing sports there, they helped me get an internship with the Florida Marlins. So in 1994, I come to Florida. The Marlins are a brand new team. I was able to basically have the run of the building. It wasn't like there was that many employees. They were sharing space with the Dolphins in the Dolphin Stadium, and they locked out the season. 1994, the strike happened. It was a lockdown strike. They canceled the World Series, and I got fired that same day. I think it was August 12, 1994. Check your Googles. And I remember knowing enough about athletes, having been around the guys from Atlantic City, having been around the Dolphins players, having tried to be one myself, that I thought these guys really need better people working for them. Maybe I should go to law school. So I go to law school, I get into law school, I go to University of Miami School of Law, and now being an agent is like a thing. It's not a big thing, but there's a groundswell of people trying to get into the agency industry. And I'm in law school, my first year at the University of Miami. I come back down south because Ithaca's fucking freezing, and I couldn't live up there. It's one of the worst places I've ever been in my life. Sorry, Ithaca College, but the weather sucks. Beautiful school, beautiful campus, beautiful people, love them all, but the weather sucks. And I end up getting pulled over by a cop at a gas station for a broken right taillight. Now, I can barely nail a hammer into the wall, like all the Weddle jerseys and all the shit. My wife does all that stuff. She's the guru at that. And so, you too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. If I did that, she'd be falling down and it'd be horrible.
I've got something right here that needs to get hung up that I had from when I was on Sons of Anarchy, the TV show. And it's my leather kit, it's the script, it's pictures of me in the cast.
When were you on Sons of Anarchy? That's one of our favorite.
Season 6, episode 4, when they blow up the clubhouse.
Okay.
Here, this is going to be really, talk about fucking ADD.
She's watched every bit of it, and I'm just getting into it now, and we're on season 3. Oh man, that's fucking sick. That's awesome.
This comes out on TV, but there I am. There's my bracelet I wore, my bandana, the script, my cut.
Turn it just a little bit to the right. There you go, just like that. I can see you there. Perfect. There we go. Man.
Yeah, Eric Weddle and I got to be on the show because of a guy by the name of Chris Reed, who played Filthy Phil.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a huge Chargers fan. He's walking through the parking lot one day and he sees this thing called Weddle Way which is
Right.
all of Eric Weddle's friends and families that had a tailgate zone. And one of the guys goes, Filthy Phil, Sons of Anarchy, fuck yeah! And he goes, who are all you people? I'm like, oh, my cousin plays for the Chargers. It's Eric Weddle. He's like, oh my God, Eric Weddle's my second favorite Charger ever. He's like, look, I can't give you his cell phone number, but take his agent. He's on Twitter. 3 days later, I get a DM on Twitter. I didn't even know what a DM was back then.
I just
like,
learned.
hey man, my name's Chris Reed. I'm an actor. I met some of Weddle's people. Would love to have you guys out on the set. And I like looked at it and I was like, yeah, right, bullshit. And just like, you know, like didn't even answer. Love Sons of Anarchy as a fan. Watching the show, credits roll, and I see Chris Reed, and I'm like,
Is this the same guy?
that can't be possible, right? Because I didn't see his face or anything on the DM. Go to the DM, I'm like, holy shit. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I was like, holy shit. I DM him instantly. I'm like, hey man, here's my cell phone number. Can you call me? Phone rings 3 seconds later. We're instant best friends. I'm like, listen, I don't know if there's any way ever. If Eric is going to go on set, no matter when it is, I need to be there. He's like, well, where's Eric? Eric lives in San Diego. You live in San Diego too. Everybody always thinks you live where your players are, right? Like
Right,
I'm in
yeah.
Dallas. They're like, oh, Demarcus, you live right there. I'm like, no, I live in Fort Lauderdale. And so about 6 months later, he's like, hey, listen, you know, I can't really disclose this, but I will. I get a gift when you get killed on the show. They give you a gift. And I was like, oh, you're getting killed off. He's like, yeah. He's like, I gave away a plot point I'm not supposed to. He's like, but I asked, how would you and Eric like to be extras on the show? And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'll be on a plane tonight. Like, what do I got to do? Do I have to walk to San Diego or LA, whatever?
Yeah.
So I call Eric, and Eric's never seen the show, never heard the show, doesn't watch the show. It's too violent for his wife and his family, not his thing. So I'm like, listen, you're going to lie for me. You're going to tell them you are the biggest Sons of Anarchy fan in the history of the television show. You're going to tell them that you blog about it in your part-time. You're going to tell them whatever it takes, I'm getting on this fucking show. And you're going to be on the fucking show with me. So the way it works in Hollywood is they don't get everything. It's a week-to-week life, like football. So he calls me up in like the end of June maybe, and he goes, so can you be here tomorrow? And I'm like, no. What are you talking about? He goes, we have 3 episodes this season where we need extras. He actually says this, I'm not even on the show anymore. He goes, I'll ride in and introduce you to people, but you're going to be you're going to be like a walk-on extra, but you'll get paid and you'll be like a real member. Because they have a separate, it's completely insane. They have a separate room at Sons of Anarchy in Hollywood, I guess, for like just regular extras, which are people that already look like the characters. Like you could be one of the Aryan Nation, no offense, or you could be a gang member. You could be in the Sons.
I get
You
that.
could be in the Sons. You could be in multiple things. The beard helps. So he goes, the other day we have is like July 4th, and I'm like, dude, I can't go July 4th. Like it's July 4th holiday. He's like, well, then the last day is July 10th. So I call Eric. He's like, yeah. He's like, can you grow a beard? I'm like, oh man, I hate a beard. I can't grow a beard. It's too itchy on it. So I start growing a beard like 9 days, like July 1st. Fly out to LA, play like 36 holes of golf back when I used to be a golf junkie, go to dinner with all my friends. Eric drives up that next day. We go to the set at 11 a.m. We're figuring, I even had a tea time for us at 3 in the afternoon. Hey, we'll go at 11, knock it out, meet some people, take 2 pictures. We walk in, they're like, oh, you guys are a little early. They need you in the makeup trailer. I'm like, huh? Makeup? They're like, yeah, you got to get fitted for your cut. I'm like, cut? I'm like, I'm getting a leather coat? They're like, yeah, you're getting a leather vest. You're the president of the Rogue River from Oregon. I'm like, huh? What? And I knew Rogue River. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, there's a twist coming where they start telling me plot points. Now all of a sudden, Kim Coates walks in, and he happens to be a football fan, even though he likes Canadian football because he's Canadian. And I'm like, Tig! Oh my God, it's fucking Tig! I'm like, dude, so we're taking pictures of the makeup tent. They're giving me a fake tattoo. I get the ball, the Anarchy ball on my arm tattooed. Eric gets a full sleeve, like, on. Then Theo Rossi comes in, the shaved head. He gets his whole back done with a fake tattoo because it's that episode where he's going to be shirtless. So we're like in the makeup and we're talking football. We're talking Staten Island because Theo's from Staten Island. He knows one of my clients, one of Eric's teammates, Steve Gregory. We get Steve Gregory on the phone. Now we're boys. We're just boys.
Yeah.
Next thing we know, it's 2:00. We're like, yo, I don't think we're making the tea time. Like, oh, they didn't tell you guys? Like what? Like, this is a night shoot. We can't even shoot until after 9 p.m.
Oh.
I'm like, wait, what do you mean? So now Katie Siegel walks in. I'm like, oh my God, it's Katie. It's Mary. Yeah. So this is the craziest part about this show. And there's a great picture of it. I should send it to you directly, text message.
Yeah, please do.
So obviously every girl in the world loves Charlie Hunnam. Everybody loved. He's peak Charlie, right? Season 6, Sons of Anarchy. Jax is the show. It's moved away from Ron Perlman. It's now Charlie Hunnam's show. And originally, from what I understand, having met people, talked to people, that was not the original direction of the show. But he took over. That was the sex appeal, the groundswell, whatever. So, and by the way, this has nothing to do with my sports agency career, but I'd much rather talk about Sons of Anarchy.
Man, this is cool, man. I love giving my viewers and stuff that they don't know. Like, this is awesome.
So the episode that we are on is the day that Charlie turned down the sex books, Mr. Gray. What are they called?
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. That's right.
So this is a true story, and I was there and watched it all happen, like in the parking lot of West Hollywood, of a North Hollywood studio lot.
I didn't realize he turned that down. I thought it just...
He was going to be Mr. Gray. He had actually signed to be Mr. Gray.
I knew about that. I just thought they maybe went a different direction. I didn't know that he turned it down.
At the same time, he had also signed to be in a huge mega blockbuster movie called Pacific Rim, sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
With the aliens in Japan or whatever, people coming out of the water. I don't know, it was fucking horrible. That day, he and his agent had to notify the studio. I guess the shoot dates overlapped, and he still was under contract for Sons. There was no way to manipulate the schedule so he could do all three, which, I mean, obviously, God bless him that he was able to have that benefit, that bonus. Right. And they picked Pacific Rim versus being in 50 Shades of Grey. And he was devastated, man. His agent came on lot, or his manager came on lot. They were crying. Everybody else on the cast was going over to him and talk to him. And here we are, like, I just want to take a picture with the dude. So, of course, super fan David Canter and not fan at all Eric Weddle have no idea that he's British, right? So he started, yeah, right? So I have no idea he's English. None whatsoever. No clue. We're like, dude, this guy's from LA. He's tatted. He's cool as fuck. No, not at all, right? So he starts talking to us, and he's like, mate. He goes, mate. He said, just like this, he goes, mate, I know nothing about football. He goes, I've been an actor my whole life. He goes, soccer a little bit because I played it as a kid. I know nothing about football. And I'm like, dude, we don't care. Like, you're fucking Jax Teller. Like, who cares? So everybody was amazing. Like, some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. They couldn't have been nicer. And more importantly, there's my son. That's my 8-year-old. TV, dude. He loves whenever. This is Austin.
Austin, how you doing, man? Good to meet you.
We'll talk about when I was on that TV show that you've never seen.
I know that you were in it and you grew a beard.
There you go.
Yeah, I got a beard. I started losing it all up here, buddy. It all started growing down here.
If you ever do a Fortnite or a Minecraft or a Roblox show, Austin, or a drummer, because he happens to be pretty good at the drums, Austin jumping there.
Is that right?
That's me, yeah. All right, bro. Love you. Go. Be gone. Say goodbye.
Good to meet you, buddy. Pleasure to meet you, Austin.
So anyway, going back to my sports agency. So anyway, everybody on Sons, a lot of them I stayed friends with. They invited me out with Eric to play in their charity golf tournaments. We were involved heavily with my agency, overlapping with some of their charities that they do for the military that come back to America and kind of get left behind. The boot campaign, we liaised with the women that run that campaign. We raised some money. We bought a foursome and flew out to LA and played in back-to-back golf events. I had one golf event. They invited me to the premiere of season 6. They invited me to the premiere of season 7. They gave me a cast book for the final ride. Tommy Flanagan and I became like super good friends. which is incredible because he's one of my favorite actors ever, even before, from Braveheart, from Gladiator.
Oh, yeah.
And spent a lot of time with him and Dina, his wife, and, he's an incredible guy. And it's one of those things in life. I'm sitting here looking at all the stuff I collected, and I said to my wife, like, how the hell did I not put this in a frame? Like, how do I not have all those? I'm never going to be on another TV show like that, right? I mean, there'll never be a TV show like that. So to me, that's, it's like Sopranos, it's like The West Wing, it's like, Sons of Anarchy. I mean, these are iconic television shows that I'm not an actor. I don't know shit about acting, and I had one line, and I think I did an okay job in it. And the funniest part of the whole show, by the way, I guess I should say this. So when you film this episode, you have no idea what they're filming, who's where, and this is going to sound so weak. I don't drink beer. I'm not a beer guy. Never been a beer guy. I love scotch, love wine, pretty much anything else but beer.
That's not
so part of the episode is we're all in the clubhouse, and there's a ton of extras, and there's a main bar, and Jax walks in and finds a pen, and on the pen it says like Shamrock something, and he realizes it's the Irish dropped off some new kegs, but they're bombs, and everybody has to run out of the clubhouse, and then we actually run out, and they blow up the fucking clubhouse. Like, I'm not exaggerating to you. The reason it's a night shoot is because they had to get LAX, which flies over the set, to shut down air travel for 20 minutes while they actually exploded the clubhouse.
Oh, man.
They blew up the table, the famous carved table.
Uh-huh.
They really blew stuff up. It was banana around. I mean, it was motorcycles flying, and we're all, we're 200 feet back. Eric's sitting on the hood of a car with Tommy Flanagan. I'm like watching but trying to videotape because I'm like, I'm never going to get this again, right? So the scene, you don't know when they film you. So what the first part of the scene comes out with 24 cases of Bud Light bottles. They start popping them all and putting them out by all the extras, right? I guess they just kind of deal with Bud or Bud Light. And all the regular motorcycle dudes who are like hardcore real people, and the girls who are either strippers or adult entertainers or hookers, who knows,
right,
are drinking beer. Someone realizes, hey, dude, we're past 11 o'clock at night. We can't let them drink real beer because of the Hollywood laws. They pour out all the beers. Everybody's like, oh, man, and they have to fill them with water. My scene is I'm standing at the table, leaning over, talking to everybody, drinking a beer. If you watch it closely, you'll realize I have no idea how to drink a beer out of a bottle. I'm like, my lips are puckered. I look like a complete idiot. So now you forget all about it. That's July, June, July, August, September, November, right. I think, or October. The episode rolls around. I'm recording it because there's something else going on work-wise, which is what pays the bills. Sure. And I get a text message from a player on the Dolphins who I don't even represent. And he goes, holy shit, was that you just drinking a beer on Sons of Anarchy? So I'm like, oh my God. So now I want to watch the episode, but I want to see me. So everybody's calling me. I mean, my phone, I've got Tommy Flanagan calling me, I've got Chris Reed calling me, Weddle's called me because he's on the West Coast, so it debuts later. Did we make the show? And I'm like, I don't want to know.
Right.
I want to sit on my couch.
You want to see it yourself.
Watch it just like I watch it every other week.
Right. You want to experience it.
And this is real story. The episode comes, they go to commercial, they come back from commercial, the whole side of my face with my shitty beard, with my bandana, and I fall off the couch. Like I couldn't believe it. I was overwhelmed. You don't know you're going to make the show. You have no idea how they're going to edit it, right? You figure you're one of these 1,000 extra bums.
Yeah, they cut your scene completely.
And they took my patch off as president. It originally said president on my cut, but then they realized that the president of Rogue River is going to be in season 7 and get killed, which is me digitally getting my head blown off in season 7. But it's not me. I didn't go to LA. They didn't film anything. So they took the patch off just in case people, there's crazy fans out there, Sons of Anarchy fan groups and stuff. If they notice the inconsistency, they could say, oh no, he's patched in, but he wasn't the president, right? And Eric had vice president on his. So make a long story short, it's definitely one of the most incredible 2 years of my life, going back and forth to LA, being around the cast and crew, getting to see kind of how Hollywood works, and realizing that a lot of those actors and actresses that you see on TV are living check to check and show to show. It's pretty disheartening. There's so many working actors that are so incredibly talented that you've seen on, Big Break, or you've seen on, some other show, and then they kind of just fade away and they're auditioning.